Hey everybody, it's Gamodex and welcome back to another sealed event of Kaldheim. A little bit more practice before the Arena Open this Saturday. That will be sealed. Anybody can join into that, although it is a little expensive. But if you do make it into day 2 and you manage to win day 2, you do get cash prizes. So it's a really big, really competitive event where everybody gets to hop in and play against the best of the best at Limited. And really test your mettle there. So I'm excited for that. But anyways, I do need to get some more practice for sealed, so we're doing another sealed event today. So I have already seen my sealed pool here. I have tried to record this video a few times, but I've been having internet issues if you haven't heard. I have already seen this sealed pool, and I like this sealed pool, I'm not gonna lie. As you can see in white here, we have Starnheim Unleashed as one of our rares. This is 4 mana for a 4/4 Angel Warrior with Flying and Vigilance, or if you foretell this, you get to spend double X in white, so that would be 3 mana total for 1 4/4, 5 mana total for 2 4/4s, 7 mana for 3 of them. Absolutely absurd card. Even if you're not foretelling it, 4 mana for a 4/4 Flying Vigilance is a really solid rate. And if you are, this card just gets so absurd so quickly. It's just way too cheap to do that. And that is why it's mythic rare. So obviously, when you open a rare like Starnheim Unleashed, and you see it in your 6 rares when you open up the sealed events, you're already going to be leaning heavily into white. And luckily for us here, if you can't tell, our white in this sealed pool is pretty phenomenal. We not only have Starnheim Unleashed, but we have good support for it. We have several just decent white cards and some other quite powerful things. We have double Bound in Gold, the best white removal spell in the set, 3 mana to enchant any permanent, shut off all of its activated abilities, and if it's a creature, stop it from attacking and blocking. This is just a really great removal spell. We're happy to run 2 in any white deck, so we're absolutely going to slap that right in here. We have Clarion Spirit, which is good in any aggressive white deck, where anytime you cast 2 spells in one turn, you get to create a 1/1 Flying Spirit. The little 1/1 Flying Spirits are pretty relevant in this format in general. It's a little bit slower, and especially in sealed, there will just end up being a lot of board stalls where any form of evasion is really good. So just a 1/1 flyer being able to hit your opponent over and over again is really nice, especially if you have some equipment to back them up. This card is quite powerful, and we're happy to have Clarion Spirit in here. And then we have, what else for like really strong cards? I guess Battershield Warrior, if you're very aggressive, is quite strong, and otherwise it's pretty decent. And then we have like Stalwart Valkyrie and double Starnheim Courser for more flyers. For the same reason that I like the 1/1 little spirit tokens from the Clarion Spirit, I do like any flyers in this format. They are just quite good for getting over board stalls. And then outside of all those like really good cards, we've just got a bunch of just solid playable cards, especially for an aggressive deck. If your deck's aggressive enough and you're trying to double spell, Code Spell Cleric's pretty fine, and it combos with Clarion Spirit pretty well, so we'll throw that in. The Shield Mate's a great 2-drop, trades off with something and leaves a 1/1 warrior behind. Story Seeker's a great 2-drop, 2/2 with a lifelink, so a relevant ability there, especially with equipment. Giant Ox, we're probably not going to run in here. This card is playable in sealed if you're like a really slow deck, or you have a ton of flyers, you're just trying to slow down your opponent, or if you manage to get a bunch of Colossal Plows or something weird and you're actually trying to crew vehicles with it. But in generally just an aggressive deck like our white is leaning towards, we don't really want a 2 mana 0/6 that much. Valkyrie Sword, I forgot to mention this, another really powerful card. A slower card, again, this is 7 mana if you want to get the token out of it, but it's a very powerful card. 7 mana for essentially a 6/5 Flying Vigilance that gives you extra value even after the token itself dies, because then you can just start using the equipment on your other creatures. So I think this card is very good, and we're happy to have that in here. Doomscar Oracle, super fine in here. Champion's fine in here. Braggart, and then we just have like some big creatures. These are also fine, but I don't know 100% if we'll want to play them here since we are trying to be pretty aggressive. Master Skald, we do have some enchantments and some artifacts in the deck already. 2 Bound in Gold and a Valkyrie Sword, although they won't be going to the graveyard that often. If we had any sagas, Master Skald is fantastic because sagas are enchantments that will be going to your graveyard just of your own volition. You're not relying on your opponent destroying one of your things to get value out of the Skald. However, we obviously don't have any mono white sagas, so we'll have to see in our multicolor if we end up with any sagas to go with the Skald. As it stands, I'm not super excited about that card. And God's Hall Guardian, kind of similar, just like a 3/6, really high toughness. It does have vigilance, so it is good when the board state is a lot of small creatures, which it can be pretty often in this format, but pretty bad against like green, blue-red giants, stuff like that, in your aggressive decks. It's pretty much always good in a defensive deck because of how high its toughness is, but if you're trying to actually get in with that vigilance, there are some matchups where this isn't great, especially in aggro decks. It is a solid card though, so maybe it's worth throwing in here, but I feel that everything else in our deck lends itself really well to a white aggressive deck with some flyers, some removal, a good old bomb mythic Starnheim Unleashed, so we have a really exciting start to the sealed deck here, and we'll see what we have in our other colors. So I should probably go through all of my rares, because that is what you see the second you start a sealed event, if your internet or power didn't go out in the middle of it. So we have Cyclone Summoner in blue, which is a pretty powerful card, especially if you have a lot of giants. 7 mana for a 7/7 that returns all permanents except for giants and wizards and lands to their owner's hands when you cast it. So really solid card, especially in sealed. Well, in limited in general. I guess not really great in constructed at 7 mana, but we don't have a ton of support for it in blue. I mean, we do have some solid stuff. We've got Giant's Amulet. This is a 5 mana 4/5 hexproof as long as it's untapped, and obviously it's also an equipment you get to remove around. Couple Harbingers, pretty filler card. They're kind of your 2-drop slot for a slower deck because a 1/3 is going to block a lot of the aggressive cards easily. Like as you can see here, it'll block 2/2s well, it'll block a 2/1 really well. However, whatever color we're pairing with our white, we're gonna want it to be aggressive, and our blue is really like, we've got a solid defensive set of cards. So while I think our blue's pretty decent, I don't think it lines up with our white particularly well. This is kind of what the blue-white would look like here. I guess we get to check our multicolored, see if we have any blue-white cards here. We've got a green-blue card, green-white card, a green-black card, and a blue-black card. So no blue-white card there. Although I guess we could splash in King Narfi's Betrayal and be like Esper or something. But we would get a Gates of Istfell in the blue-white deck. So this is kind of what the blue-white deck would look like here, I think. Looks pretty solid. I mean, we're still aggressive even just off of the mono-white. Yeah, I think it actually looks pretty good. But let's make sure to check all of our color pairs here and see what looks the best. All right, moving on to black. Black is an interesting one here. We don't have a lot of creatures that I would say are very quality creatures. Most of our creatures are pretty bad. Draugr Recruiter can be okay, but it's a really slow card, and I've never really gotten it to go off, because you really need to clear the board, or at least get into a position where you have a really good creature in your graveyard that you want to pick up, and you're okay with sacrificing this by attacking in with it to do so. But even when you're doing that, 4 mana for the boast ability and 4 mana to cast this is only a 3/3. Just a really slow, not super exciting card. So I haven't been a fan of that in general. Dusk Wielders as well. A 1 mana 1/2 is just going to get walled off so easily just a couple turns into the game as soon as your opponent plays their 2 mana 2/2 or their 3 mana 2/3, anything like that, and your Dusk Wielder's just not going to do anything for the rest of the game. So I don't really love that. However, Black-White could lend us to a really aggressive deck. We have Clarion Spirit and Codespell Cleric caring about us casting 2 spells in 1 turn, so if we were playing Black-White, maybe we would throw Dusk Wielders in, so I'll throw them in for now. We also have Skemfar Avenger as our black rare. I said I was going to look through all the rares, then I forgot to do it. We'll just see them as we come to them. Skemfar Avenger is our rare in black. Pretty solid card, although you do want a lot of Elves or Berserkers to get a lot of value out of it. We don't have a ton here. We've got a couple Dusk Wielders, of course. course. Draugr Helm creates a zombie berserker, and this card is quite powerful, so we would be running that in black-white. That would be a 5 mana card because we always want to get the token out of that. Equipment in general are quite powerful in this format just because the creatures are all so small that giving any form of buff can usually be a big difference, and Menace is a really relevant ability, giving you somewhat a little bit of evasion, which is nice and sealed. So we would be playing Skemfar Avenger. Even just as a 2-mana 3/1, it would be really solid in a black-white aggressive deck here. Grim Draugr, another Berserker, and we could throw a couple Snowlands in here, whatever Snowlands we have, to maybe get that Menace now and then. Feed the Serpent, a great removal spell we would absolutely be running in black-white. Hailstorm Valkyrie, I'm not too much of a fan of, simply because if we don't have a ton of snow sources, this is pretty much equivalent to the Starnheim courses that we have at only 3 mana, and we just don't have a lot of snow sources. We would have a Snow Plains, a Snow Swamp, we would have Shimmerdrift Vale, and then I could play some tapped Snowlands, like the Arctic Tree Line as a tapped Snow Plains to help use that snow ability. However, really don't want to play tapped lands in an aggressive deck, and even if I were doing that, we'd be running that on the off chance that we'd manage to draw 2 Snowlands out of 4 in our entire deck to maybe get that ability off, which would, in general, we'd have to draw like half our deck to get there if we only have 4 of them. So, not really feeling the Hailstorm Valkyrie here. Shadow Sage could be okay. If we have enough random creatures sharing types, we can drain a couple life from our opponent or gain a couple life, although I don't love it in an aggressive deck. 2/5 body is good for the cost. Carfell Kennelmaster can be a good top-end creature for your curve in your aggressive decks, because then all of a sudden your smaller creatures that weren't getting in anymore get a +1 buff and aren't going to die in combat this turn thanks to that indestructibility. So it lets you get in another attack with your creatures that are now too small to get in. So it can be a really nice card for that matter, and then it leaves behind, of course, the 4/4 that is now your primary attacker from that point on. So Kennelmasters would be fine in here. And then Terragrid Shadow. This effect is inherently pretty powerful because you can set yourself up in a way to where your opponent has some creatures and you don't have some, although this card does not combo well with Bound in Gold at all, because if we Bound in Gold our opponent's creatures, now they can just sacrifice something that we Bound in Gold and stop some of the value there. I did have a comment a while ago that was saying that Bound in Gold is a negative synergy with Doomscar, and that I disagree with, because Doomscar just destroys all creatures, period. So if you Bound in Gold something in the early game and then you Doomscar later in the game, it's the exact same thing that would have happened if you Feed the Serpent did something in the early game and then Doomscarred later, because their creatures aren't giving them any value or making Doomscar do anything less in that way. So throwing their creature that's been Bound in Gold into the graveyard is the exact same as it was doing on the board. It was just doing nothing on board. Now it's doing nothing in grave. It's essentially like you Doombladed or Feed the Serpented and then cast a Wrath of God. That's not really an anti-synergy in my opinion. But Terragrid Shadow 100% is, because they specifically get to choose the creatures that you Bound in Gold to mitigate the effect of them sacrificing other creatures to Terragrid Shadow. So Terragrid Shadow, in the right deck, it's really good, but here we have double Bound in Gold, and we're pretty aggressive, so I don't think we'll often have creatures we want to sacrifice, but I guess there are some situations, some positions we could be in where we have kind of dumped out all our aggro stuff, and then all of a sudden maybe they're blue-red giants or something, and they drop down like a 5/6 or something stupid, alongside like a 4/4, and then since our like 1/1s and 2/2s aren't getting in anyway, then maybe we'd want a Terragrid Shadow, because we could clear out 2 bigger creatures of theirs for 2 of our smaller ones, but even then, I don't think it's incredibly exciting here, because that's just a very specific position where it would be good in. So now we can see if we have any black-white stuff, though I'm pretty sure we didn't. We would definitely be running Goldvein Pick in this deck, basically whatever our secondary color is, so I forgot to put that in for looking at the white-blue build. But yeah, we're definitely going to run a Goldvein Pick in here with the nice aggressive white creatures we have, and especially in white-black here where we've got double Duskwielder. I actually kind of even want to just cut one of these over like a Kennel Master, even though they are slower. Probably cut a Duskwielder, and then I guess we could cut one of each. I don't know if I want to cut both of them because I do have Clarion Spirit and Code Spell Cleric and Gold Vein Pick now. I think I could still run a Dusk Wielder in here. Yeah, we'll cut one of that and one of the Kennel Master. Although we could also cut a land in here. Depends. I don't know what happened with our piles, why the Valkyrie sword is in our lands. There we go. That looks like the most accurate curve. Double check our white-black cards here. Looks like nothing in white-black. There's nothing else in black I'm that excited about. I already said my piece on Draugr Recruiter. Dreadrider can be good in sealed though, because if you get into a board stall, it gives you that final few points of damage you need to end the game. Although it's not super synergistic with the aggression that we have, we can slow down our deck and have like Dreadriders at the top end become a little less focused in here. Sealed decks are generally less focused and more based on your most powerful cards, period. And you want to have ways to close out a game, even in a board stall. Although, because we have tons of flyers, or at least enough flyers with Starnheim Coursers, Starnheim Unleashed, and Stalwart Valkyrie, I think we already have ways to try to close out a game that's in a board stall. Valkyrie Sword as well. Plus we have like the Helm to give menace to those flyers, maybe. That could be really good. Pick to give those flyers more power. I think we're trying to close out any board stalls by using our flying evasive creatures, so I'm not really looking towards cards like Dreadrider for that. So this would be the black-white deck, which also looks quite solid. I think there's a lot of ways that we can go with this sealed pool that would be fine. I think the only thing that is definitely part of this deck would be our white. I think we're definitely just white and another color. Because of how aggressive our white is as well, I don't really feel like I should be splashing in a third color here, because we definitely will struggle a lot if we're stuck on any color of mana in the early game, because the early game is kind of the most important point of the game for this kind of deck. So moving on to red. We don't have a lot of great red cards, but we've got multiple good removal spells, Demon Bolt and Fumarole, and we don't need a lot of great cards in our secondary color when we have so many white cards in here. So we would run Demon Bolt, Fumarole, we even have Squash here. We definitely run double Fearless Pup with the Gold Vein picks and the Clarion Spirit, stuff like that. Fearless Pup is super solid here. And then we have kind of our choice of what we want to do. I think we want to play a Craven Hulk. A 4 mana 4/4 on curve, even if it can only attack, is fine in an aggressive deck, and it also could potentially help us cast Squash easier. Probably want to play Provoke the Trolls. It's only 3 damage for 4 mana, which isn't fantastic, but you kind of take what you can get in terms of removal in sealed, so we'll still play that. After that, we could play Run Amok since we are an aggressive deck. We could play some mobs at the top end of our curve. Pretty fine bow stability, but I think our 2-drop creatures in red are not very exciting, but there'd be an argument for playing like an Emmersturm Raider just to have more at 2 to go with Run Amok, Pick, Clarion Spirit, stuff like that. I think we've got 5 early creatures, like 5 creatures, actually 6 creatures that cost 2 mana or less right now, so I think we don't need them too badly. See, I think if we added in red, it would be something like this. I don't know about the mobs. I'd probably cut a land here, actually, for red-white. Go really low curve, because red gives us access to Demon Bolt and Fumarole, so then we'd have 4 total removal spells that we can cast on turn 3. So we could really try to lean into the potential draws where we get to go 1-drop turn 1, 2-drop turn 2, into just removal spell turn 3, and just keep smashing in, just slapping as quickly as possible. So I think the red-white deck would be aiming to be really aggressive thanks to 4 removal spells at 3 mana, Bound in Gold, Demon Bolt, Fumarole. So I think we cut just like a mountain here, and this would be the red-white deck. I really do like the look of the red-white deck, but I think the black-white looked super solid, and the white-blue looked quite solid as well. I think I'm liking the black-white or the black-white or the red-white over the white-blue, though. I do like, I like the colors that can support the aggression that our white has to offer, more than the ones that kind of gives us another another facet of our deck for sure. Like then we kind of just turn into mid-range with aggressive white cards and slower blue cards in white-blue. So I think it's still a good deck. It's just not 100% aggro here. And then I think honestly, our green kind of sucks. A bunch of mediocre creatures here. Again, we don't need that many good cards in our secondary colors, so we could just play like Maja. Maja's probably our best card in green, because then we get green-white there. We do have access to Arctic Treeline as well, so we get some good mana fixing in there and some more snow sources, although our white doesn't care about snow, and our green probably doesn't. Yeah, our green doesn't really care about snow either, although it does give us Glittering Frost to ramp up. Let's see, we play like Glade Walkers, Horizon Seeker, Mentor, Glade Warden, and Outrider. Do really just play a bunch of kind of mediocre creatures in the green here. It doesn't give us any more removal. The best cards it gives us are Maja, Bredegard Protector, which can give your whole field +1/+1, so it's really good kind of Anthem effect at the top end of an aggressive deck, so I like it for that. Plus, anytime you landfall, you're getting tokens. And then we have the Glade Warden that can... it can use all of our creatures that have traded off earlier in the grave, or in the game, that are now in the grave, to buff up the rest of our creatures to make sure our stuff can still be big enough to keep sending it in the late game. It is good with flyers. I mean, that is one thing to consider. This is quite good with flyers. Like, we trade off some really mediocre creatures like Codespell Clerics and Shield Mates in the early game, and then in the very late game, when we're in a board stall situation and we're trying to get them with flyers, all of a sudden we can put 2 +1/+1 counters on one of our flyers, make a Starnheim Courser a 4/4 flyer. That actually seems really good, because then if we're against like blue or something and they have a Mistwalker, which is a 1/4 flyer, or an Augury Raven that's a 3/3 flyer, that would be a very relevant amount of power and toughness to add to it. So I like Glade Warden and Maja actually quite a bit for the white-green deck, but the rest of our creatures are very mediocre. 2-mana 2/2s, although they do get to put a +1/+1 counter on whatever you want, so this could be a 2-mana 1/1 that puts a counter on a Starnheim Courser or something, helps with the flying aspect there. Horizon Seeker, like a 3/2, make sure that we hit our 4th, 5th land, anything like that. And then like Mentor just kind of spreads out the board a little. Green-white's okay. It doesn't give us any more removal, although it does give us 1 or 2 more bombs. I think Maja's a bomb. Glade Warden, I'd say, is close to a bomb, but it's quite slow, so I don't know if I would classify it as such. And even Maja, not like the craziest bomb. This set has some really, really insane bombs, like Starnheim Unleashed and... I was going to say Narfi's Betrayal, but I don't know about that. It's got really crazy bombs like Starnheim Unleashed. It's got Dragonkin Berserker. It's got a lot of things that just show up on the board and you're like, oh god, I need to deal with this immediately or I'm going to die. And Maja, I don't think is quite at that level, but it gets close. And then Glade Warden is kind of similar, but even a little worse than Maja. So they're not like the craziest bombs in the set, but they're kind of bomby. So those are basically the color schemes that we have access to. Basically, white X, white and anything as our secondary color would be really fine. What I kind of want to do here is very similar to what I did in my first sealed of the format, I think, and really try to lean into the fact that we have opened powerful aggressive cards, because in sealed, you are going to be running against even more slow decks than usual. So I think I want to roll in with red-white again, simply because any game where we can like turn 1 creature, turn 2 creature, turn 3 removal spell, which is not too hard to do thanks to the fact that we have 4 removal spells on turn 3. We've got 3 1-drop creatures and 3 2-drop creatures. Any game where we're like playing things in the early game and then just removing all of their earliest threats is going to be a game that's really hard for us to lose, I feel. So with access to a ton of removal spells, a ton of good aggressive creatures, good flyers to close out a long game, I think that red-white looks really solid to me. Now, I think I put in Provoke and I cut a land here, so we just play a 16 land deck. I'm going to roll with Boros. That is my decision here. although there's certainly an argument for basically white and any other color. There's even a little bit of an argument for like splashing in Maja, because she only costs 1 green, and we have a gold vein pick and a green-white duel, so it wouldn't be the most difficult splash ever. So we could do like a 3-color thing, but as I said before, I'm not a big fan of splashes in aggressive decks, because being stuck on any color of your mana just hurts a lot more when your deck is really focused on trying to outrace your opponent's deck. If your deck is a slower, more value-based deck where you have a bunch of big cards, big value cards, big splashy, bomby cards, you can really try to splash a lot of stuff in, because anytime that you're getting stuck on mana, like, okay, now I'm not playing my 3 mana 2/3 for a second. I was just going to block things for a while. Like, that's fine because you're aiming for the late game anyway. But when you're an aggressive deck where you're aiming to be playing all of your stuff immediately and just slapping your opponent with it, every single time that you can't do that is a lot more painful than in a slow deck. So I don't think I'm going to splash just for that reason. I would rather be as consistent as possible. I think Shimmerdrift Veil is probably going to be worth it here. Although it is a tapped land, and I don't love tapped lands in aggressive decks, it's good mana fixing. It'll be red or white when we need it, and we have a double white with Fumarole, or a double red with Fumarole, and a double white with Starnheim Unleashed, potentially. The vast majority of the time we just want to foretell this card, though, so I guess there's only 1 white card in our whole deck that's ever double white, and most of the time we're casting it for a single white mana. We do have the pick as well. Maybe we actually don't need the Veil. The only thing we have that cares about snow mana as well is the Fumarole. So the snow mana's just doesn't matter for it. I'm still going to run it anyway, but I could definitely see us ending up cutting that, because there are going to be times where even just playing a tapped land can cut us off from playing our hand out as quickly as possible. You know, yeah, with just the 1 card that's color restricted, just 1 card in our deck that requires 2 of its color, actually I'm going to cut Shimmerdrift Veil. I think our mana is easy enough. We really don't need the duel, because we also have a pick, potentially, fixing mana. I'm thinking, like, statistically more often we're going to be hurt by the fact that one of our lands is coming into play tapped, and now we can't play a 3-drop turn 3 or a 2-drop turn 2, then we will be hurt by not having 1 duel. I think our mana is just really easy here, not a lot of difficult costs. So let's throw in some lands here. I think we want more white than red, that's for sure. Oh yeah. However, we've got Fearless Pups turn 1, so we don't want to go too hard towards white, because we do want to have our red mana as soon as possible. We're going to want a mountain in our hand anytime we have a Fearless Pup in our opener, so I think we're going to do just 1 more plains than mountain, or we could just do equal colors if we're just running 16 lands, which I guess we are, so we're just going to go equal here. Yeah, I don't know. I do really want to be able to play these Fearless Pups turn 1, but I think I should probably still cut, like, 1 mountain for plains. You know what? Let's just do the middle ground here and cut a mountain for a Shimmerdrift Veil. After talking a bunch of crap on Shimmerdrift Veil, I still think it is a really good card. Even if this is about as close as I would want to be from, like, cutting it. Yeah, I think this looks like a really solid way to try to outrace some opponents, and we even have late game plans thanks to the flyers at our disposal. I think this deck looks really solid, and let's get into some gameplay and see how it does here. So we've got a few more days till the arena open. Probably not going to do too much more sealed. I'm definitely doing Momir on Friday. Momir is one of my favorite formats. I think it's just really fun and really interesting gameplay. I know that is somewhat of an unpopular opinion, but I'll explain myself more in the Momir video probably. So as long as Momir's up, I'll be playing that. I know it's the Friday Night Magic format, so it'll be on Friday. I think that's it, but it might be on a little bit more. All right, keep this 7. So this might be my last sealed before the arena opens. So hopefully we do really well here. I did see some posts on Twitter that was like, they were like laughing at all the people practicing sealed for the arena open because they're spending all their luck now. It's like, that's kind of true if you believe in luck. Well, what a start for our opponent. Bloodline Pretender on Elf, score an effigy 2-3. So we're just not going to get in, really. I guess I get to Fumarole the Scorn Effigy if I want to get in this turn, but Bloodline Pretender is likely to get bigger throughout this game, so I don't think that Fumaroling the Effigy is the right play. We probably just want to play a flyer and start trying to get in that way. We do have to worry a little bit about being on the defensive here. If our opponent plays another land and they play the 3/2 elf that spits out another elf, we'll have a real bad time. Yeah, it looks like they're just going to have a million creatures on the ground, so I'm happy about playing the flyer. Not going to double block here because they'd kill both my creatures. I would end up with just a 1/1 out of the shield mates, and I do think that my Courser is pretty important here. Goldvein Pick, which because of the Courser only costs 1. If I play a second Courser, I get to cast Pick for free and then just immediately equip it. That's really cute, so I kind of want to do it, but Bloodline Pretender is getting dangerously close to being out of range of Fumarole. If they play another Gladewalker and then put the counter on the Pretender, then it'll be out of range. Or if they play an Elderleaf Mentor, the 4-mana 3/2 elf that comes into play with a 1/1 elf. So I kind of feel I want to Fumarole the Pretender now, which I can do that and equip a Pick. So I think I'll do that as the play. Although I do think that the Starnheim Courser into free Pick, that's just the energy I kind of want to roll with. That just seems fun. Alright, and good for us, they did not have a Snakeskin Veil. That's a 1-mana instant to put a +1/+1 counter on it and give it hexproof. Funeral Longboat coming out from our opponent. Looks like they are trying to just like out aggro us here. I think Doomscar Oracle might actually be quite good in this matchup, allowing us to gain a couple life now and then. So I have access to 6 mana. If I hit them with Courser, I'll get a treasure token from the Goldvein Pick. So I could cast Doomscar Oracle and another Courser. I like that. Braggart's only going to be able to attack as a 4/4 unless I equip it, then it'll attack as a 5/5. Attacking as a 4/4, they can just block with the 3/4 and the 1/1. Even attacking as a 5/5, they block with the 3/4 and the Longboat. So I'm not going to have good attacks on the ground regardless. So I think we play a Starnheim Courser and a Doomscar Oracle here. We are going to be playing Doomscar Oracle first. That way it's on the board when we cast our second spell to gain a couple life off of it. Make sure that we are very much winning the race. Our opponent is stuck on mana here, which is helpful. They are very likely to be green-black because of the fact that Bloodline Pretender said elves, and that is the main color scheme for that tribe. Although they could have just said elves because they have an Elderleaf Mentor on turn 4, and just have any other secondary color. In Sealed, you're basically never going to see a monocolor deck, so we're pretty much guaranteed that our opponent is stuck off a color. Crew the Longboat and just scoop them up because they're stuck on mana, unfortunately for them, and we are just hitting them for 5 a turn, so they're on a 3-turn clock there. Definitely not a great time, not a great game for our opponent. I think our opponent did have a really good start. I mean, they had They had the good blockers to stop my early aggression, and then they actually just had enough good, cheap creatures to start their own aggro with some pretty solid power and toughnesses on Bloodline Pretender and Scorn Effigy with a +1/+1 counter on it. So I'm pretty sure, like, they kept a super fine hand, a super solid hand. Just got pretty unlucky there. I'm going to keep this hand. This is one of the hands where Shimmer Veil is really shining. Although I guess if I didn't cut Shimmer Veil, it would have been a mountain anyway, and then this hand would still be okay. Alright, well, I am going to play the Shimmer Veil now, since we don't have a 1-mana card. Still going to say red on it, because we have a Fumarole in this deck, which does require double red. We don't have anything that requires double white, although it would help us double spell with Clarion Spirit a little easier, so maybe we should have just said white on Veil. That's a little better with what we currently have in hand. That being said, we're pretty far off from double spelling, I think, because I want to play Courser next turn, so I kind of want to just play Shieldmate. I'm just going to play Shieldmate here and then play Courser next turn. We can hold off on the Clarion Spirit and do like a turn 5 Clarion Spirit and Bound in Gold when we have to kill something. Battershield Warrior is the draw. Do I want to play that more than I want to play my Starnheim Courser? I don't think so. I guess they don't have anything on the board yet. Is there any reason to wait? Or is there any reason to not wait to cast pre-combat? I don't think there is, so I'm just going into combat there. Battleshield Warrior or Starnheim Courser are the options. I mean, they're red-blacks. They're likely to be somewhat aggressive. I guess I'd actually rather they kill Battleshield Warrior than kill my Starnheim Courser, so I'm going to play Battleshield Warrior, but partially as removal bait, rather than because I think it's like the better creature I want to keep on this board. They're getting aggressive with the Jarl. I do like that. And 4 mana here. What do they got? A Firewalker. Well, I'll trade any of my creatures for a Firewalker, I think. So now I think I'm going to attack with both, although I do need to think about maybe holding off. Because if I attack with both here, I hit them for 4, put them to 14, and they crack back for 6, put me to 11. It's not a great time. Do I have any creatures I'm going to play that are really good blockers? No. I'm not going to play anything that blocks their stuff well. Shieldmate blocks their stuff very well. So do I just cast Courser and pass? Maybe. Am I going to block with Battleshield Warrior is the question. I don't think I will. So I'm going to actually just attack in with it and try and get in 2 damage here. Alright, cool. And then here is Starnheim Courser. This also makes Valkyrie's Sword cheaper. It's going to be a very long time before we can play this and get a token out of it. We need 6 mana to do that when we have a Courser out, 7 mana when we don't. Just let that Jarl hit me. If they run amok me, that's fine. Firewalker hits a Swamp off the top, so they do draw land for turn off of that. Getting some value there. And a Draugr Recruiter. Well, I do not want my opponent to keep getting value off the Recruiter, so I want to set up to at least have good blocks for it here. If I play Clarion Spirit and Fearless Pup, then I do get a Spirit token out of it. So I'll have 2 1/1 tokens, I'll have a Fearless Pup up, a 2/2 up. I'll have plenty to block Recruiter with. And they have to spend 4 mana to return something from their grave, so they'd have to like spend 4 on that and 1 on a Frostbite or something to really get me. Here I might actually block with Battleshield Warrior, although Battleshield Warrior is going to be really good next turn. if I Clarion Spirit. So I think I attack with both, and they're not going to block Warrior because I don't think they want to trade here. Maybe they will. If they block Warrior, I will boast it and play a pup. But if they don't block, I'm not going to boast. And I am going to play Clarion Spirit and a Fearless Pup. And I think at this point, like, if they actually attack with the Recruiter, I'm not even going to block. Like, if they want to dump their mana into doing that, then they just don't have the mana to cast any other creatures, and I attack and boast with Warrior. I think I can just take 8 here. If I attack with everybody, they block with a 4/4 on my biggest creature, which would be a 3/3. They take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, no blocks. That should be lethal. Depends on what the swamp hits, of course. Let me just make sure again. I don't want to... Like, if I don't kill them here, I die on the crackback, so I need to make sure. So that blocks there. Take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. For 1 black mana, I don't think there's anything instant speed to get them out of this. So we just do it. All right. Game went quite well there. Definitely glad the Warrior did end up staying around for all those tokens I just made to get in for lethal that turn. Really good stuff. So we're 2-0 here, and we haven't even... I don't think we've even drawn into like any of our bomb rares. I guess we only have like the one really big bomb rare. Fumarol's not a bomb rare. It's just it's on par with Bound in Gold or Demon Bolt. It's on par with common removal. So we haven't gotten to unleash Starnheim on anybody yet. We'll see if we get to do that at least once today. That would be pretty cool. Alright, we got Pup turn 1, Shieldmate turn 2, Warrior turn 3, and a removal spell turn 4. If our opponent's on a slower build, this could be a really good start. Even if they're not, it's pretty solid in like a mirror match. Shieldmate's definitely good in the mirror. Opponent starts up with an island. Ooh, we drew into Starnheim Unleashed, so this may be the game. I'm not going to foretell that just yet. I would rather just curve out, get as aggressive as possible. But this is our plan if our early aggression gets staved off, which it's looking like it might be with a Priest of the Haunted Edge here. So they have a 0/4 to just block our stuff. Still going to just go in. If they get any snowlands, they get to use this to kill one of our things, which will not be that hard. They need a single snowland to kill our Fearless Pup. Replicating Ring, that is not a snowland, so it does not help with the Priest. I think we just stay aggressive. We get to attack with everybody. If they block, I could provoke just to get it out of the way, but I can also just cast a 3/2 here, which I kind of like. 2, 3... If I boast, I hit for 3, 4, 5. If I boast there, I also hit for 5. Don't think I'm boasting. I think I'm casting a Valkyrie. Although there's an argument for just casting the Unleashed as a 4/4 flyer instead of a 3/2 flyer. That only gets in for 1 more damage per turn, and it's going to hit for like so much. If I hit a 5th land, then when I foretell this and then cast it, I get 2 4/4 flyers. That's just dramatically bigger. So I think I'm still on the foretelling that plan. If our opponent makes us discard 2 here, we're going to be sad, but we've got enough aggression on the board that I don't think they'll win a game where they just tap out for nothing here. So, after saying that, I guess I have to win this game because they just tapped out for nothing so far. I guess it depends on if this is something they can play here, like a Jarl or something. I have enough mana to boast with Warrior and Pup now that I have 5, so I think I just send in. Definitely still just staying aggressive. doing as much damage as we can here. They are stuck on 4 mana. So if I boast here, I do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I double boast, I do 9, 10, 11. Maybe we just want to do 11. I think I'm definitely boasting with at least Warrior, because this does 3 more damage, whereas Pup only does 2 more. And I still have the mana to foretell Starnheim after boasting with just this. So do I want to hit for 9 or 11? If I hit for 9, they go to 6. They go to 6 against this board. So like if these two hit them, they're dead. If any of these two... Actually, if any 2 creatures hit them, they'll die. But if I boast here, hit them for 11, they're down to 4. Which means this by itself would kill them. This by itself would kill them. Yeah, I think I am boasting. See what they have here. Poison the Cup on the Valkyrie. Alright, seems good. So we are hitting for 7 here then. Put him down to 8 instead. They have hit the 4th land, although it is a tap land. Volatile Fjord here. And Vengeful Reaper is the play for turn. Probably just going to provoke that to clear out their only creature that can actually kill my stuff off this board. Although, if I attack with everybody, they just get to kill Battershield Warrior after I boast. And that's it. It would still be 1 card for 1 card trade. And provoke the trolls, I can even throw at their face to do 3 damage to their face. So maybe I actually have enough mana to where I can boast with Battershield Warrior and then foretell Starnheim Unleash and cast a Fearless Pup. I kind of like that. Okay, so we will boast with the Warrior. Foretell this, cast a Fearless Pup, most likely. I guess I could hit for 4 here. If I could hit for 5, I would boast this Pup, because putting them at 3 life is really good with Provoke the Trolls in hand, but putting them to 4, I think we still just do that amount of damage. Well, maybe I do still boast, because if I put them to 4, I only have to hit them for 1 damage to grab lethal, but this is going to trade. So if they play any other creature, they do get to block there. Yeah, I'm still going to foretell and just play another Pup. Alright, Snow-Covered Mountain. So now they have 5 mana total, 2 more mana available now than they did before, and they do have 2 Snowlands to just kill a Pup here. I don't know how I feel about that. I think they were actually just stopping more damage by just blocking, generally. Seems a little weird to me. So they're at 6 here. If I attack with both of these, they block Pup and take 2, go to 4 life. They'd be dead to 1 Angel that way. Do I just play 2 Angels, though, and pass? I guess if they don't block Fearless Pup here, I can boast it, do 3 to them, and then Provoke the Trolls as lethal. I think the only way I could lose this game is if they get some life gain somehow. Let's just do the Starnheim for 2, I think. Don't attack here. I guess if they Wrath us, that would be bad, but even if they Wrath us, they would still have a 4/5 if it's the 4 damage to all non-giants Wrath. But I get to keep a 1/1 Warrior around. I get to play this that turn, and I still have Provoke up. Luckily, no Wrath for us. So I think I attack with everybody, try to just get Provoke to be lethal. They've got 2 mana up. Unless they, like, Disdainful Stroke my Provoke the Trolls. This should just be lethal no matter what they do. So they're just dead on board, so I just pass. let them do whatever trick they think is going to save them, and then finish them off with the final 3 damage here. Okay, make the Predator 4/4 so it would trade with my flyer. Still taking 6 on board. Raise the Draugr. Alright, so that's game. Well, I'm very glad I went for the angels there because, wow, my opponent was about to play some really, really terrifying creatures. 4/5 Giant Wizard and then the Immersturm Predator, one of the greatest bombs in the set. Of course, Starnheim Unleashed a little bit better, but, you know, sometimes we do just outluck our opponents. Certainly a part of the game. So we're at 3 wins and no losses now, and immediately into the next round. Doing pretty great so far. We'd like to win some more, though. We do have to win like 6. We have to win 6 games to get our gems back. This is what I really don't like about Sealed. I think the payout on Arena is pretty abysmal compared to like Premier Draft. When you're talking about the gems, if you're just trying to collect the set for Constructed, then it's fine, but that is the farthest from what I'm trying to do ever. All I do is play Limited, basically. The payout's pretty bad for just the Limited grinder. Opponent's going first. I think I am keeping this. There's like no big reason to mulligan. We've got some good stuff, especially if we hit lands, and we did hit a land there. Definitely get a Story Seeker turn 2, I think. Pretty unlikely to double spell anytime soon. So we'll start with our creature that's gaining us life while we're hitting them. The Bears of Ajara. Well, I'm going to have to... I guess I don't have to Fumarole that right now, because I could just Fumarole it next turn. But I definitely want to kill it before they do damage to my stuff. So I could let it turn into a 4/4 and then kill it, or I can just kill it now and it won't even turn into a 4/4 and just this card just sits here doing nothing. Do I even get in for more damage by doing that? I guess I stop them from hitting me for 4 if I do that. And if they have anything to put a +1/+1 counter on one of their creatures, like if they play the 1/1 changeling that puts a counter on something, that's going to be really bad for me. But then I guess I would just Fumarole the changeling and it would accomplish just as much. I think I'd rather offer the trade first. I doubt they take it. Alright. We will Fumarole that thing. If they play a Mistwalker here, I think that would be like the best play they could have. I do have a Squash for that later, but it would hit me for a bit. Alright, nice. No changeling to follow up. Actually, wait, no, they already hit the thing that would have turned their changelings into 4/4, so I don't know what I was worried about there. The third form is just damage, which isn't going to happen with just a 0/4 out. Alright, yeah, we essentially shut that off. Well, I guess I just get to play a Clarion Spirit, and that's really my only option. I could play Valkyrie Sword, because then if I equip this onto my my 2/2, it is a 4/3, so I do get to attack past the Spirit of the Altar Guard. Another 2/2 on this board doesn't help too much. They're pretty likely to start having blockers. I'm actually just going to run out of Valkyrie Sword. Still going to attack just to gain a couple life here. We can potentially double spell with Clarion Spirit later if they kill Story Seeker or something like that. I could cast this and Valkyrie in the same turn, but Clarion Spirit definitely not lining up well to this draw at all. Opponent does play a Glittering Frost, so they have tons of snow stuff out now. Oh, and now they're just making a really big Spirit of the Altar Guard. Well, this Squash is going to be really good when I hit the Giant to play it, so I gotta play Craven Hulk first, which unfortunately I did draw tapped land. This is where Shimmer Travail is looking really bad. Would I rather equip or just play Spirit? Could rather just equip. It's only +2/+1 though, so that still wouldn't be big enough to deal with their Spirit of the Altar Guard. I'm going to equip anyway, because Clarion Spirit's actually just one of the cheapest cards in my hand for casting 2 spells in 1 turn. So if we ever want to be able to cast these 2 in 1 turn, we probably need to leave the 2-drop Spirit. I guess Squash is going to be 2 mana as well, once we have Craven Hulk on board. Definitely not blocking. We've got a 4-power lifelinker. We're going to be fine in terms of life total. Ice-Bind Pillar. Well, now they get to just tap it every turn. Incredibly annoying card. One of my least favorite cards in the set. One of my least favorite cards in Dominaria. Ice Manipulator, just all over the place. It depends on if I have it on my field. If I have it on my field, I'm not that annoyed by it. But, man, is it a absolute butt to play against. I think I just play Craven Hulk, get ready to kill their Spirit of the Altar Guard. But this Ice-Bind Pillar is going to be a really big problem, and we don't have anything to deal with that. We're going to have to go wide around it, so Clarion Spirit's going to be very important here. Next turn I could cast Clarion Spirit and Squash. Attack with both. I obviously don't have blocks because of Craven Hulk's ability. And they're going to grab a land out of Horizon Seeker. Just a mountain. So they're out of snow basics. I guess they don't have any snow basics, or they need double red here, specifically. Alright, Clarion Spirit, come on out. We are really hoping that they don't have the 1 mana +1/+1 hexproof instant, the Snakeskin Veil, but at this point, with how much mana they have, with a Glittering Frosted Land and all of this up, they are never going to not hold up a green if they have that card. So at this point of the game, they have enough mana to just always hold up any sort of interaction. Alright, they did not have it, so I will just send in for 4 there. Still pretty cool to just take this damage. Although I could have traded with Clarion Spirit just to stop them from drawing lands off of that. Masked Vandal, alright, get rid of the equipment, sure. Demon Bolt is the draw. Don't have enough mana to double spell here unless I have a creature engrave. I don't. They're at 14. I can gain 2 off attacking with Story Seeker, but they might tap it. They'll probably tap Craven Hulk now, though, so I'm probably gaining 2 here. I could also just not attack so that Horizon Seeker doesn't crack back. Provoke the Trolls on Craven Hulk could be 9 damage there, so maybe even get lethal somehow. It's not likely, but just go to combat and see what they do. They are going to Ice-Bind Pillar on the Craven Hulk. Okay. Do I want to Demon Bolt their 1/3 just so I can get in here? Probably not. Could attack with everybody. I'll be at 11. They can't kill any of my attackers. I would like to be able to kill Horizon Seeker on blocks, but I could just attack with everybody and just bolt the Seeker, and then I only take 1 on the crackback. So we're both at 11 now. I can only cast a removal spell if I don't do anything else. I think I would rather Demon Bolt than provoke the Trolls. Maybe I should provoke before Demon Bolt. Because provoke's more expensive, so it's harder to double spell with it. If I provoke now, I could next turn cast a 3 mana spell and Demon Bolt, so I could play Courser and Demon Bolt. I should probably provoke. And I'm going to do it right now in case they have a pump spell. Because if they had a pump spell, they would like super kill me. Because they'd give it enough toughness to survive, and then it would get +5 power. Rootless Use. They just have another big old blocker. That's fine. I guess we're going for flyers now, and I do get the double spell here. I could kill Rootless You, but that allows them to search their library for an even bigger creature. However, the only way I can cast 2 spells this turn is if I Demon Bolt, so it might still be worth it just to get more flyers on this field. I'm going to play Courser right now, because depending on what the Icespine Pillar, I might want to Demon Bolt pre-attacks. Yeah, if they're going to tap that down, I actually want to Demon Bolt right here, because their creature goes to their hand rather than their field. So this allows me to get in with my Craven Hulk and a bunch of ground creatures here. They get an Undersea Invader, so they just get a 5/6. All right. Luckily for us, they didn't have some bomb gigantic creature. That would have been a really bad time if they had like the Cyclone Summoner. That would have been so bad for us. But I think outside of that, if they just had like the Lindworm, that would be the best common or uncommon creature I think they could have. The 6 mana 6/6 that gains some life when it comes into play. And even that we'd be fine against. We've got chump blockers, and we've got enough flyers to try to break in that way. And the fact that our flyers got to go wide thanks to the Clarion Spirit really let us play around the Icespine Pillar by just having a ton of attackers. Pretty nice stuff from Clarion Spirit there. So that is our 4th win. Doing pretty well thus far. 1,400 gems and 3 packs out of this. It does cost 2,000 gems to play sealed, so we need to hit 6 wins to get everything back here. So 2 wins away from that. Only 3 wins away from a 7-win run here, which could be quite solid. Get a nice little 7-0 going. Of course, you know, then anybody who believes in luck and jinxing would be like, oh, well, now we just have no chance at the Arena Open because we just used all our luck right here. But that's not how it works. If you flip a coin 100 times and it ends up tails every time, the next time you flip that coin, you still have a 50-50 shot of getting heads or tails. All right. Not a bad start. No 2-drop here, but we can just foretell a Demon Bolt, which is fine. At least we're doing something with our mana there. Opponent is on the play. They are playing red with a snow-covered mountain. Could just have a frostbite on the pup here. Be fine with that. We have much better creatures in our deck that they could frostbite, like Battleshield Warrior. Battleshield Warrior is really only a little bit better. The best creature in our deck that could get hit by frostbite would be the I already forgot its name. It won us last game, and I already forgot its name. The 2-mana 2/2 that spits out flyers. Ooh, alright, well, we might just get slammed by some rares here. Magda into the God of Storytelling. I guess they're stuck on 2 mana at least, so if we kill Magda, we know that they're not getting any more tokens, which is good, but also any creature in the world can trade with that. It's only 1 toughness. So if I play like Goldmaw Champion as a 2/3, I can block Magda. Could play Fumarole on the Storyteller so they can't get red mana when they're casting things. And it's also a bigger creature, so it attacks us even if we play Champion here. I kind of like just killing the God of Storytelling here, and then next turn I can cast a Battleshield Warrior, so I have a 2/3 to block their 2/1, and I have the 1 red mana up for a Demon Bolt for whatever other card they play. They did draw their second color, it is green. Even if they didn't, they've got treasure tokens for Magda. Craven Hulk it is, so I think we just Demon Bolt Craven Hulk and block Magda with a Doomscar Oracle, or with a Battleshield Warrior. Wait. Wow, I don't know what happened with my brain there. I just, like, got all 3 of my cards mixed up. Well, that was some weird dyslexia stuff there. Obviously not the best play. The best play was the one that I stated was the best play and the one I was going to do. But, you know, humans are weird. Sometimes your brain just does things. Obviously, the Gold Mod Champion would have been a lot better here, because then if they really needed the treasure token, they'd still have to attack in and lose it while I still get a creature out. Looks like they wouldn't have needed the treasure token, so Magda would have just been chilling on blocks then. If I draw a land, I get to cast both of these next turn and gain the life, but Craven Hulk doesn't get to block by itself, so if I play one of these, I can still trade with Horizon Seeker. I'm at 16, so I don't think the life gain from Oracle's that crazy. I guess I could play... You know, since I can foretell here... Here I get to play a blocker to trade with Horizon Seeker, and now I know I can cast both Craven Hulk and Doomscar Oracle next turn. Frenzied Raiders that are getting counters on Raider every time that they boast with something else, so they'll use the treasure to boast here. The treasure did end up mattering here. Actually quite a bit, because now they've turned it into permanent mana. I am still a little bummed about the not playing the Gold Mod Champion thing. I mean, obviously it was by far the wrong play. But I literally knew what the right play was and was going to do the right play, but my brain just kind of messed up. So it doesn't really change anything or help at all to just sit here moping on it. So we'll just move on. Shit does happen. I could trade here. That doesn't seem great. I think I just hold off for blocks. Hulk can't block alone, but if they attack with both creatures, I can block their 1/1 with Courser and their 3/2 with Craven Hulk. And I don't really want to trade my Craven Hulk now anyway, so just not going to attack there. Dwarven Hammer? Probably just lose to a Dwarven Hammer here. Dwarven Hammer's a really, really good card. Pretty good against us in this position. It's pretty good against almost anybody in any position. Because now we have to block and trade something with their little dwarf token, then we'll have to block and trade something with their 1/1 token, and then just throw it on the next creature. Every single creature in their whole deck is now at least a 4/1 trample. That's if they're running 1/1s, which they probably aren't. I would say 2/2s are most likely to be the weakest creatures in our deck. So any creature they draw off the top is now a 5/2 trample, whereas for us... obviously, if we draw a 2/2, it's just a 2/2. So if they have a pump spell, we just lose. But I'm actually really happy that they attacked like that, because that was like the only way that we were going to actually get value out of the Craven Hulk being able to block. Because we actually took less damage that way. Ooh. Valkyrie Sword with enough mana to do it. Not really going to matter here, because we're going to have to trade everything we get into a Dwarven Hammered creature. But that's a thing. I think at this point I probably want to attack with Craven Hulk. Double blocking with Hulk doesn't help too much. Now that I'm blocking with a 6/5, they'll just throw all 5 damage onto my 6/5. So who cares if more power goes on? 6 power is already going to kill everything they have. So I'd rather just attack with Craven Hulk, because their creatures are way scarier as attackers than blockers at this point. So if we can clear out 1 or 2 on attacks, that'd be fantastic. Alright, they kill the sword, but I still keep my 4/4. This doesn't really change anything at all. I guess I take 1 more damage. Definitely not the best Masked Vandal I've ever seen. Not as crazy as the card can be. I'm surprised with this equip here. I don't know why you would equip like this. This feels really weird to me. especially because you have Frenzied Raider out. So not only are you not getting the value out of boasting with it when you attack this turn, you're also not getting the counter on Frenzied Raider. I think you're supposed to just put the hammer onto, like, the Mentor. The one that does not have any relevant abilities on board. We're still attacking with Craven Hulk. I guess... Yeah, the hammer's not going to add any toughness to any of their creatures, so the Valkyrie's big enough to trade with anything anyway. Just attack with Craven Hulk. They could block with a 3-2 and a 1-3 here, I guess. The fact that they're chump blocking makes me really happy. At least Craven Hulk is doing something. Every single creature matters when there's a Dwarven Hammer on the board. Vorinclex. Okay, well, suppose I super mega lose. Kill the biggest creature here. Unless they draw another Boaster, Frenzy Raider's just going to stay a 2-2. I guess I get to kill Masked Vandal without losing a creature, but then I take 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I take 11, I'm at 5 life against a Dwarven Hammer. And a 6-6 trample. There's no way I survive next turn if I do that. I most likely don't survive this turn anyway. Now I get to Bound and Gold Vorinclex. I could also Bound and Gold on the Dwarven Hammer. But if I Bound and Gold the Dwarven Hammer, I just die, because Craven Hulk can't block. So if I Bound and Gold Vorinclex, I might survive. Because on board, they throw a hammer onto something and do 6 to me. So currently I get to survive one more turn this way. But it's not looking good. Hey, at least we're getting like Dwarven Hammered and Vorinclexed here, so where I'm very likely to have lost, even if I played Gold Mod Champion first. But it did give my opponent a lot of momentum, being able to turn that treasure token into a permanent land with their boast ability. All right. Well, 4 wins and 1 loss. Can't ever be too mad about a 4-3. So the worst case scenario is not that bad here. But we do, of course, want to try to get as many of our gems back as possible. So 6 wins is really where it's at. And if we can pull a full 7 out of this, that will be super fantastic. We'll see how it all goes in round 6. All right, looks like another very keepable opener. No 2-drop, but we can foretell a card on turn 2. We've got Pup turn 1, Warrior turn 3. Certainly the type of hand we've seen before. We may even want to play Doomscar Oracle before the Warrior, just because it's got more base level power. Ooh, now that I draw Demon Bolt, would I rather foretell Demon Bolt or the Warrior? Or the Oracle? I think I would rather foretell... I think I'm going to foretell the Oracle, because anytime I want a Demon Bolt, I think I'm pretty fine to just spend the full 3 on it, whereas Oracle is like really good when you can pay it for only 1 and then play like a 3-drop afterwards. Now we're going to play the Battershield Warrior, I think. Although I could play the Oracle and foretell the Demon Bolt. Just keep up the foretell stuff. That does get more damage in without me having to boast. Yeah, that actually seems fine. Sure, I'm not getting any double spell value out of it, but the double spell value on Doomscar Oracle is pretty minimal. If it spit out a 1/1 flyer every time you double spelled, I probably wouldn't do that, because that's like a big amount of value. But 2 life is, I mean, that's like less than half a card's worth of value. Looks like our opponent is possibly stuck on 2 using the Behold the Multiverse to draw into more mana. Now I think I'm just going to cast a Stalwart Valkyrie. This leaves me up to double spell whenever they play something I actually want to Demon Bolt, then I can play Warrior and bolt it. And Warrior is doing 1 more damage than Valkyrie, but it's doing 1 more damage than Valkyrie if I spend 2 extra mana into it. So Warrior hits for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by buffing the whole field. I guess it does hit for 2 more damage than Valkyrie if I spend mana into it. Ooh, Code Spell Cleric here? I could even just play Warrior and Cleric and not even worry about the Thought Thief now. It just trades with Oracle, and that's not that bad for me. I could even just not attack with Oracle. Just put a counter on the Fearless Pup, attack with that and Valkyrie. Actually does seem quite solid. Unless my opponent has a Wrath effect, I think this is probably my best line. Because unless they play a 5 toughness creature next turn, I can bolt that away, so I don't need to have to counter on the flyer, because the ground creatures can still just get in, because at worst they trade with a Thought Thief. Rune of Sustenance on the Thought Thief to give it lifelink. Probably try to block and gain some life there. If I draw any basic land, I get to cast Provoke the Trolls and Demon Bolts, which would be really good. Alright, they do have removal for the flyer. Of course, I don't have to cast both if they just play a Bound in Gold. So I hit for lethal if I can pump Battle Shield Warrior, so I need to cast Demon Bolt and not Provoke the Trolls here. Because I need the mana up to use Battle Shield Warrior's Boast ability. I guess even just the mana up for Pup's ability, but either way, I need not the 4 mana spell cast there. Need to activate either Boast ability to kill, because I do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They go to 1. So that was a pretty solid game. That's what you're trying to do with an aggressive deck in Sealed. Our opponent was some kind of multicolored, pretty heavy snow, lots of tapped lands, and Foretell kind of value deck. And that is really where the aggressive decks come in and shine to really pretty easily outrace them. Opponent was a bit stuck on just playable cards on board. I don't think they were stuck on mana that badly. I think they played a land drop every turn thanks to Behold the Multiverse. Although it did force them to maybe play some draw spells when they could have been committing to the board. I wasn't paying too much attention to my opponent's mana situation. I do really want to mulligan this. I mean, this feels... I really need to hit a white source or this hand does absolutely nothing. I have to hit 2 more of any land to do anything with this in the first place. Or 1 plains and I can do basically everything. I'm going to mulligan this. This seems a lot better. Everything is perfectly castable here. Kind of want to get rid of Batter Shield Warrior. Although maybe the Oracle. This seems like a slower hand. Like we try to just kill them with flyers and just shut off their biggest threats maybe. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of my most aggressive card there. Because now I get to Foretell Oracle turn 2. And then like if I draw another 2-drop turn 3, I can cast both. Something like that. We're going to play Shimmerdrift Veil turn 1. So we don't have anything else to do. We're going to choose white because we have double red. Guardian Gladewalker be a 2-mana 2/2 here. So they're green-black. Could be some green-black elves over there. We are going to Foretell the Doomscar Oracle. If I draw a 2-drop, I get to cast both next turn. Elven Bow, 2/3 reach, and an equipment that they can throw around other places later. Certainly not a fan of the draws so far. It's only going to take 1 or 2 more land draws to get absolutely flooded and overwhelmed this game. So we're getting pretty close to like a critical mass of too many lands drawn. An Elderleaf Mentor. So our opponent has like a really good curve to start off too. I did draw a Fearless Pup, so I do have a non-land, but it is not too impactful at this point in the game. Elven Bow is really good against my flyers too, so even that plan's not going to work out. There's nothing like big enough to Bound in Gold here even. Our opponent has just gone quite wide. We're going to have a really rough time with that. Yeah, I'm just casting a Valkyrie or a Pup here. I guess... this is not great. Pup, of course, can only get the +2 on attacks. Can't do it on blocks, or else it would be fantastic in this position. But if I play Pup, at least they don't attack with the 1/1. If I play Valkyrie, I have to just trade off my 3/2s into like their 3/2s at this point. Yeah. This is not particularly great. Even just playing the Valkyrie, their 1/1 token is not very likely to attack, so the only thing my Fearless Pup accomplishes by giving me a really good block for their 1/1 is like pretty irrelevant, because they're already just not attacking with the 1/1. So we'll play the Valkyrie instead. It makes the most of our mana and gives us a better creature for later. I think I am trading with Elderleaf Mentor here and taking 4, go to 10. They get to move the bow to the other 1/1 so that I can't attack with Valkyrie. I guess I could trade Valkyrie with the Gladewalker. I don't want to trade Valkyrie with the equipped creature, because this is just a 1/1 token that has a good equipment on it. If I trade there, that would be trading with the actual biggest other creature. Then I only take 3 a turn. Yeah, you know... I don't think I'm quite there yet. I'll take 4. Sculptor of Winter. And the Raven's Warning. Well, I'm glad I still have the flyer out. We're 2 mana away from Valkyrie's Sword, so I need to survive 2 more turns to do that. If I want to get a token out of it, which I really do, because it would be big enough to actually block all their stuff. So to survive here, I definitely need to just play as many blockers as I can, so I play a Fearless Pup. I guess I could have played Sword and just equipped it to Valkyrie, and then I have a big enough blocker to block things without dying, but then I block there. They go wide so easily. I block there and I take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, go to 4. They just attack all twice and I die. Do I Bound in Gold? I really don't want to Bound in Gold on these things. But they've got 1 card left in their hand. If that's like a 5-mana 5/5, I'm going to have a very bad time. Bound in Gold stops 2 damage. Just going to hold off again. I'll cast it next turn, because turn 7 I'm going to have to tap all my mana into my Valkyrie Sword anyway. I guess I could Bound in Gold on the Elven Bow so they can't move it around, which might be good. Yeah, we're trading here. Trading here is actually a lot better than it looks, because I'm killing their... Sure, I'm just killing their 1/1 flyer token, but I'm killing their 1/1 flyer token and making them not draw a card. So it's not fantastic, but it's better than it looks. I guess Valkyrie Sword on a Pup could be maybe enough. No, it would be a 3/2 first strike blocker, not enough for Gladewalker. Alright, here we go with the plays that I don't like. Ooh, and if I cast Bound in Gold here, actually with the 3rd part of the Raven's Warning, they can search for and invoke the Divine from their sideboard, and their sideboard is their entire sealed pool, so they probably do have invoked the Divine, so maybe I even just hold off from Bound in Gold. I do have to draw land to be able to make the token off of Valkyrie Sword, so it's entirely possible I just draw another Fearless Pup or something next turn. And I've really got nothing. I guess I'd rather them cast Invoke the Divine on a Bound in Gold that's on a 2/2 than cast it on my Angel. Although it does put it on top and not in their hand, so they would still have it. Ooh, I forgot about that one. Puts it on top, not in their hand, so maybe they grab Artifact or Enchantment removal here to destroy my Bound in Gold, and then they end up just using it on my Valkyrie Sword anyway. That would be pretty funny. We'll see if they grab a card here. I think it should show their deck jiggling around or something if they do. I think they almost definitely will. In sealed, it's so likely that they have like something good on their sideboard that even just grabbing a 5 mana 5/5 here is pretty great. In draft, sometimes I've seen this go off and then they just don't even grab something. They did grab a card. Hopefully just like a 5 mana 5/5 or something. Because if it's naturalized, we're going to have a bad time. I do still get a 4/4 Flying Angel out of it. If it is. Oh, they just had naturalize in hand. Okay, well. Masked Vandal it is. Take 3, go down to 7. I just don't have good blocks. And just a land there, so we're playing against pretty much just whatever they grabbed from their sideboard at this point. Still 1 mana off from creating the 4/4 flyer with the Valkyrie Sword, which is really important here. So we're going to hold off on the sword. Vengeful Reaper. Yep, that's very, very bad. I can't possibly win this game now, because even if I get the 4/4, that blocks there, and then I block 3 other things and just take 2 damage. They just go wide twice and get me. I didn't even hit the land for it anyway. I need to play as many creatures as I can, so at this point I have to just cast the stupid sword. 1 mana off from the 4/4 with it. I also need the flying blocker to not just go to 1 outside of all these. If I didn't have the flying blocker, I'd take 3 there, block, 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 and take 1 more and die. So 100%, that was a forced play there. Oh. Okay. Seems a little weird. I guess I do have to just trump that, but I can at least trump and get a blocker out still. I actually don't have to trump the flyer here. Oh. Kind of want to kill that thing. I'm not going to double spell next turn because I'm going to have 1 card in hand total. So I just block with these 2. They kill both, but I get a 1/1 out of this, and I've killed one of their creatures. I need another blocker. I guess I don't need another blocker unless they have removal, but I would like one. Port of Carfell. It's going to be a bad time. They need 1 more black mana to do it, but if they hit it, Return any creature from their grave to the battlefield tapped after milling 4. Could be good. We're definitely going to bound and gold their flyer. Equip a Fearless Pup to have as good blocks as possible, probably. Because they're going to throw an Elven Bow onto something. That would make it a 2-3 reach if they throw it on a 1-1. If they throw it on the Sculptor of Winter, it would be a 3-4. That would be really bad. But I can also just have 4 first striking power of blockers. So I could do like good double blocks if they don't attack with everything. I don't think I can afford to attack with the 1-1. Doing 1 damage to someone that's at 22 life is very small, and I think I need to hold the blocker back because that'll allow me to make a double block next turn. If they equip on a Sculptor and attack with everybody, and I only have 3 blockers left, I have to like block 1 creature with each of my creatures. So I need to leave myself open to be able to double block even if they attack all. Oh yeah, they have double black from Sculptor for the port. Nothing I could really do about that. I could not afford to bound and gold the Sculptor just to stop them from doing that when they've got the Vengeful Reaper on board that I can only chump block 1 more time all game. They grab a Ravenous Lindworm from grave, 6/6 in the gain life, and they top decked a creature that was even cheap enough to cast in addition to sacrificing the port. That's really brutal. Still not attacking here. I think I still need just the Spirit as a chump blocker. But basically this whole game has not went well at all. Our draws just lined up very poorly. Really against any deck, we've just drew pretty awkwardly this game. Drawing all of our early plays late game and our late plays early. Alright, attack with all, sure. Chump block the 6/6. Kill that. Kill that. Kill that. Chump block. So unless they literally just drew a pump spell, these blocks are actually really good. We're killing 2 of their creatures. We're killing 3 of their creatures and trumping 2. I go to 1. Oh yeah, they're down to 3 creatures now. It's actually pretty fantastic. We are at 1 life though. They just need 1 removal spell and we're done on board. Well, I'm gonna have to chump block Lindworm with my... probably a pup. They can't really send him with the other creatures at least. I only have 6 power over here. Can't boast on blocks, so the pups cannot get any bigger, so we just do a chump here. Maybe I chump with Champion just to have 4 power first strike on blocks still. But Champion does like block Vandal and survive, whereas Pup doesn't. And Champion blocks anything with 2 power with a bow on it and survives. I think I block with Pup here. Just because Champion can survive an Elven Bowed 1/1 and Pup cannot. Good lord. Provoke the trolls. Can do 3 damage to something. It's really not going to be enough. We're going to scoop that one up. That was a really rough game. I think we drew really poorly and our opponent drew quite well. I mean, they're playing like 4 color, green, white, blue, black, and they dropped down a triple green card on us. They didn't drop it down on us turn 3. I mean, it was quite late in the game, so that's not so insane, but still feels bad. So we're 5-2 now. If we lose this next round, it'll be the last one, but if we win, we've got the possibility of heading into a 7-win here. We'll have an ultimate final boss if we win this next round. Alright, we're going first. I like that. I love being on the play. We've got Starnheim Unleashed here. We got Run Amok to maybe troll somebody. Definitely going to keep this one. It's not perfect, but it's got some very powerful cards. It is far from deserving a mulligan. Opponent starts off with a Swamp, and we will get things running with Story Seeker if I could cast it. I don't know what was going on there. Shimmered Veil on blue, so nothing this turn. Starnheim Courser is going to be our play now. Again, as we've done before, just going to be committing as much as we can to this board as quickly as possible, pressuring our opponent. Wither Crown on Starnheim Courser, sure. I've got a 2/2 lifelinker here, so I can just keep Courser around for now, I think. I just don't think there's a big reason to sacrifice this immediately. I guess there's not a great reason to keep it around, and sacrificing it makes it so my Valkyrie only costs 2 mana. Don't really have anything that would kill a Wither Crown. Yeah, I'll just sack it. Draw a Fearless Pup. So I can play a 4/4 flyer, or I can just play Fearless Pup and foretell that. Next turn, if I hit a land, I get 2 4/4 flyers. It's really dependent on if I draw land next turn. If I draw land next turn, I'm going to wish that I foretold this, but if I don't, I would rather just play a 4/4 flyer right now and stay as aggressive as possible over just a Fearless Pup. That is not very aggressive. I do have Run Amok, so if they just like play any blocker, Fearless Pup and Story Seeker attacking is really good. We're getting greedy over here. Alright, turn 4 for our opponent. Brings a Glittering Frost. Setting up for the next turn. We did hit the land there. If they don't have a Wrath, pretty sure we just win. With Glittering Frost, they could have like any Wrath. Just a Narfi. I think that means we're good. We drew a Demon Bolt for that as well, but I've got Run Amok and Bound in Gold, so I can bind and still have mana for Run Amok. This is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This will make it lethal. They've got 1 red up, so I'm going to Run Amok my biggest creature in case they have a Frostbite. And yeah, that'll be a quick one. That'll just be aggro doing its thing. And that was a lot on Starnheim Unleashed as well. The Starnheim Unleashed was ridiculous there. That was not just a regular aggro victory, so I should specify that. That was a Starnheim Unleashed victory. So we are at 6 wins and 2 losses. No matter what happens now, I've gotten all my gems back out of the sealed event. I'm very happy with that. And we'll see how our final round goes. Final boss. Win or lose. What'll it be? What'll we be up against? Haven't run up against the blue-red giants yet. I guess that is one of the strategies that's a lot more difficult to open up out of a sealed pool because there just aren't that many great blue and red giants. Like maybe almost a draft-only strategy. Excuse me, I got the hiccups now. Alright, Opponent goes first. This hand is very quick, very aggressive. I like it. I don't remember why I have snow-covered plants. Oh yeah, Fumarole, the only snow card. Alright. Yeah, seems solid. I'll keep it. We do want to hit at least one land, but if we hit one land, we can do everything in our hand currently. So I could play a Fearless Pup right now, but if I wait till turn 2, I get to cast Code Spell Cleric and Fearless Pup in the same turn, and get a counter from the Code Spell Cleric. It's probably better. Opponent is on red-white as well, and they start with a Frenzied Raider. I'm gonna make a Fearless Pup a 2/2 first striker, so I can block Raider and kill it, so they can't really attack in now. And they can't block the pup. They already couldn't because of its bow stability, but now it'll be really, really difficult. A second Frenzied Raider, alright. If they play any creature that boasts, we're gonna want to kill that immediately, just to stop them from putting counters on the rest of their field. This adds colorless mana, right? It adds colorless for each snow spent, so Fumarole, I can't do a Fumarole and do anything else right now, but it may be better to keep that over a Demon Bolt. Do I want to play a Shieldmate? Shieldmate does block like Frenzied Raider and stuff pretty well. I can get in with my Fearless Pup that way. I don't think I'm going to be blocking with Fearless Pup against their 3/3, although it would give me a really good blocker against the 2/2, and the 1/1 keeps them from attacking there. They've got 3 cards in hand. We have Fumarole, Demon Bolt, Provoke the Trolls. If I had like a single flyer in this hand, I would be really apt to just hold off. But I actually don't have any way to crack through their board if we try to just stall this game out right now. So that kind of makes me want to poke them for some damage here. I don't know. I mean, we're in a really good position to stall, though. So I'm just going to try that. We know that our deck has tons of flyers and stuff in it to try to get the late game sealed, so let's just hold them off in the early game. Raven Wings is what I really don't want to see. After just saying how many flyers my deck has, my opponent has to go ahead and make a flying creature that I embarrassingly cannot currently block. So I kind of want to provoke the trolls here on the Frenzied Raider, because it's my worst removal spell and my most expensive one, so we get that out of the way first. That leaves them with just a 2/2 and a 1/1. Granted, the Raven Wings makes them all a threat. Anything I attack with is going to trade with one of their creatures. I only really need to leave one of my 2 power creatures back to block. Do I just attack with Shieldmate? If they trade with Cleric, that's not that bad for me, because then they just have 1 creature on board to throw wings onto. Yeah, I'm going to attack with Shieldmate. I'm actually fine taking a trade with Cleric here. I just want to lower their amount of creatures when they have an equipment like Raven Wings out. And I highly, do not think they're blocking with Raider, no matter what. Runeforged Champion, oh dear. If they do have a rune in their deck, alright, I was going to say, if they have a rune in their deck, that makes me even happier about just trading into one of their creatures to give them less things to do with Raven Wings. Actually, if they throw rune on there, if they don't have enough mana to equip here, does it cost 2 to equip, so hopefully they already played a land this turn. Now I can bind their wings with Bound in Gold, and that's actually, I think, my best play. Now they have a Tormentor's Helm as well, but that's not as scary for me, or as bad for me as the Raven Wings. Just shut off the Raven Wings. They can make Runeforged Champion a 3/4 on attacks, though, then I have to block it with everything and lose 2 of my 3 creatures if I want to kill it. But I suppose I can just Demon Bolt it or Fumarole it. Yeah, I suppose I take it here. 2 cards in their hand. One's a land. Alright. Hopefully it's all just lands in there. Ooh, Braggart's going to be really good here. I think I have Fumarole the Champion and Fortella Demon Bolt. But I could also just Demon Bolt Raider, but then I'm out of removal. I'm out of removal if I do that, but then they have nothing on board right now. I'm just going to go ahead. They've got one card in hand. We don't know what it is, but it could just be a land. I've got a Braggart coming up, which is pretty big in terms of creatures for like a red-white deck, because this will be a 4/4. Ooh, they drew a black source, so they drew like their splash color here. I don't have enough mana to boast with Fearless Pup and cast Braggart, which is unfortunate. Okay, I'm going to cast Braggart here. Two cards in hand for our opponent. We've got a loaded field now. They have their splash color if they've drawn into whatever they're splashing. Alright, Tybalt's here. They draw two cards off of it no matter what. Draw a Breakneck Berserker and a land. I kind of think I have to just kill Tybalt. They take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They don't just die if I attack them. I have to do 7 to Tybalt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could attack Tybalt with everything, just boast with Braggart and cast Courser. Then I have blocks for the Breakneck Berserker. Fearless Pup also could block the Berserker well. I guess it gets a Helm onto it. I kind of think I have to kill Tybalt. I don't think I can afford to just go ham and hope that they can't cast enough things to survive and like exile a creature to survive. So definitely going to play a Starnheim Courser here, which means that I only have 3 mana, so I can boast with one of my creatures. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I attack with that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 when you count the Braggart untapping. I should have sent that at their face. That's what I meant to do there. Just misplay.
Catch me if you can.
So they should be at 11 here, so if that ends up mattering, that'll be a really bad time. And it could end up mattering with Clarion Spirit, giving them multiple blockers this turn. Tormentor's Helm onto the Berserker, making it a 4/3. I take a damage even if I block. Now here I go to 6 if I don't block, and then I'll have an untapped Braggart next turn to be able to block that. I think I just take it, although I could just take 1 damage and lose the Human Warrior. Just not doing much on this field, because I'm not really attacking into a 2/2 with it. Yeah, that's probably worth it. Take 1 instead of 4 there. Okay. Clarion Spirit of our own. Let them trade the flyers here. Attack with all of these. 4, 5, 6. I shouldn't have to boast with both of these. I think that'll basically never happen. So I'm probably going to Clarion Spirit here. Block there. That is the only block. So I could do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 if I boast with both. I definitely want to untap Braggart. That's just a guarantee. But would I rather get a Clarion Spirit on board or hit him for 2 more? Put him to 3 life if I hit him for 2 more. I think I'd rather just have another creature on board. Alright, Axgard Braggart. It's basically all up to him. It's going to be a 6/6 on the next attack, so they will definitely have enough blocks to be able to do a like triple block if they want to kill. Ooh, Squash is such a great draw here. does cost 5 mana, so I can't boast Pup and do it. So I think I just attack with Braggart, set up for a squash. Yeah, and that really worked well. That was a great draw. They have 2 blockers now. They do have a Tormentor's Helm. Throw onto a 2/2. Well, onto a 1/1 to make it a 2/2. If I attack with everybody, they block, and take 3. I think I do attack with everybody at this point. They basically have to block Braggart and Pup. I guess. Okay, I was gonna say, I guess if they don't, they could have like a Frostbite or something, then they wouldn't have to do that. Since I have the mana anyway, might as well boast there. But now they have no creatures on board. One last draw step. All right, that'll do it. A nice 7-2 run out of this red-white sealed deck. I mean, we opened a really good deck, so it was likely to do pretty well. But yeah, just really good aggressive cards in Boros here. One of my favorite color pairs in this format easily. I will take that 7-win run and I will run with it. So that will be the end of today's sealed video. If you enjoyed the video, stick around where you're at. Do everything you're already doing. Like, comment, subscribe, watch the videos, all that good stuff. If you want to see more of this content, there's also occasional live streams on the Twitch channel in the description below. Those are kind of just whenever I have time, whenever I feel like it. But I do daily Magic Arena videos, and I'll see you for another one of those tomorrow. That was a really weird outro. Whatever.